Welcome back. Today we're going to consider two functions. The first function on the left, y equals x squared plus 5x minus 6. You should be thinking in your head that this is going to form a parabola when we graph it. And it'll look something like this. Parabola opening up. And a parabola opening up or opening down is always going to be a function. When we know for sure that an equation is indeed a function, we have a special notation that will show everyone, hey, this is a function. And that notation looks like this. I'm going to name this function f of x. So I'm going to replace the y value, the output, with the notation f of x equals x squared plus 5x minus 6. That's the notation to show this is a function. Now the other equation on the right, y equals absolute value of 2x minus 3, that one we might start to question, is that a function or not? So an easy way to tell is to make a graph of it. Here's my absolute value of 2x minus 3. And there is the graph, which makes a big V, absolute value, V for value. And this will indeed pass the vertical line test, so absolute value is a function. Now this function I'm going to name with a different letter just so we can distinguish between the parabola and the V. Let's call this function the g function. So I'll say g of x is equal to the absolute value of 2x minus 3. So the f of x, the g of x, h of x, a of x, whatever letter we want to use, replaces the y value. It replaces the output. Now, if we want to evaluate functions for different values, notice down here, f of 0, the 0 is our input. That has replaced the x value. So now in my equation, I'm going to replace all the x's with zeros and then evaluate that. 0 squared is 0, plus 5 times 0 is 0, minus 6 makes negative 6. And same thing down here, f of negative 3, our input is negative 3. So when we plug in negative 3 for x and evaluate that, the output is going to be 9 plus negative 15, which would make negative 6, minus another 6 would make negative 12. So our output, or our f of negative 3, comes out to be negative 12. We'll do the same thing for our absolute value function g. G of 0 means I'm plugging in 0 for x. So I'm doing the absolute value of 2 times 0 minus 3. 2 times 0 is 0, take away 3 is negative 3, and the absolute value of negative 3, or how far away negative 3 is from 0, is 3. So if x is 0, the output is 3. If we use negative 3 as our x value, it's going to be 2 times negative 3, which is negative 6. Take away 3, which would be negative 9, and negative 9 is 9 spots away from 0. So our input is negative 3, our output is 9. One thing to note here, I could also get my outputs by going to my table on my calculator. And notice when my x value is 0, my y value is 3. And when I scroll to an x value of negative 3, my y value comes out to be 9.